sentimental journey. Gonna set my heart at ease. Gonna make a sentimental journey to renew old memories. Got my bag, I got.
Yes, and so the adventure begins. Yes, in the cemetery.
Like a child in wild anticipation, long to hear that
Antoinette.
Antoinette.
Warm or cool? Tall or short?
Well,
Is it okay?
she was always very warm to me because
I'm listening.
up until the time I was 4 or 5 years old, I spent a lot of time with those two grandparents in a little town called Thornburg, which is down by Watchier and Sigerton. Because my mother was in such poor health because of my birth that she couldn't take care of me.
You were a stinker, huh?
I was a stinker. So I spent a lot of time with Grandma and Grandpa Barnes in Thornburg. In fact, he retired from the Rock Island Railroad when he was station agent in Thornburg. And I can remember walking down the railroad tracks with Grandma to go to a little lake along the railroad tracks fishing. She'd take a little picnic basket and we'd sit there and fish all day.
And Antoinette, who's that then?
Antoinette was her mother's
Her
name.
mother. Okay, so she got it, but they call her Louise. And who's Sale? Sale.
Uh,
What's Sale from?
Grandpa Barnes' side.
What do you remember about him?
Who, Grandpa Barnes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I used to take him fishing.
I mean, was he a cheerful guy, a serious guy,
He was hard of hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard of hearing.
So you had to speak clearly and loudly?
But he was a railroad station agent,
Mhm.
and he could operate a telegraph key and hear the report come in on telegraph key.
Mhm.
But he was deaf.
But the telegraph you could hear.
You bet he could. And he chewed big black cigars.
Yuck.
I loved to play pool.
And lived quite a long time, to 89 years old. So,
Yeah, I got a long ways to go.
Grandparents? Their parents?
No. This is Grandpa
you get
Barnes'
those?
sister. Your great-grandfather, Barnes.
I wanted to get a picture of him.
yeah,
He's the one that lived in Sigerton, and that's his little brother.
never thought.
See, when you said somber, I did that.
well, here. Did you?
Yes, I did. See what I did?
What'd you
You
do?
dummy.
There you are, a real pickle puss. I love it.
Oh, no. Take it over.
Well, we can take it over.
Why did you do that?
Because he said to do it. Then he clicked it.
So here,
No.
let's take it over. What a.
Your fault.
Do it again.
Oh, all right, for goodness sakes.
Cheese.
There we go.
Cheese.
All right, then.
Oh, let's go to the Capitol.
Okay.
Gonna make a sentimental journey to renew old memories. nation, spent each dime I could afford, like a child in Wellington.
When Mr. Hoover had received the nomination at the Republican National Convention to run for President of the United States, because my father's ancestors, some of them, came to West Branch. He brought me to West Branch to see Herbert Hoover and Calvin Coolidge, who was then president. And the event was held in what is now the football field of West Branch, right across the street from the Old Friends Cemetery.
The other one? The others?
Here's a vor. Some vors.
Oh, yeah.
Sale?
Any
No,
sales?
no sale.
Sales must have been overbooked, so. Oh,
Do you know those?
well, Grandpa Barnes, his name was Bull. Joseph Bull Barnes.
Journey home.
In Des Moines, where article I met at the American Institute of Business, E.O. Fenton
E.O. Fenton.
was president and the owner of the American Institute of Business.
Mm-hmm.
And he had an inn with the Archer family that owned a chain of Archer ballrooms in southern Minnesota and Iowa.
Okay.
Part of the chain was the Tromar Ballroom in downtown Des Moines and the Valair Ballroom, which was between Des Moines and West Des Moines, Valley Junction. About once a month, AIB could get discount tickets to the Tromar Ballroom, no matter what was a big name band, whatever. Like Lawrence Welk, the Dorsey Brothers, Wayne King, Glenn Gray and his
Yep.
Castleloma band.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So Artist and I would always go.
Oh,
And your mom was a great dancer. She could really cut a rug.
Just gonna talk us.
Harold was Mom's little brother that was kicked by a cow and killed on that little acreage.
Ah.
Are you recording?
It's on.
Okay, thanks.
And
Samuel would be Father Drake.
Father Drake, Mother Drake, George Drake was a son. I can remember him. He lived in Cedar Rapids. He was a retired Rock Island Railroad man. He was in the Air Force, in the Army in World War II. One,
Was George B. Father Drake's brother?
no, son.
His son. Ah.
See, they had 11 or 12 kids, and Margaret was only 15 years old when they got married.
My goodness.
Wow.
And he was an itinerant preacher.
Yeah,
Well, that must have raised a few eyebrows around town.
But he became ill, and that's why they moved to that acreage down there.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't preach continually anymore.
How do you make money?
They didn't need money in those days. They had that little acreage. They had pigs, cattle, chickens, geese or ducks, and a big truck garden.
Okay, they lived
And
there.
they lived on the side of a hill, and Grandma Drake canned everything that they couldn't eat. Animals, vegetables, fruit.
No mortgage? There's your first patron just waiting for you to show up. Looks like they built this one to last.
You come get books here? Yeah. Good for you. Would you like to read? Yeah. I'm glad. A lot of kids don't.
This young man's his great-great-grandmother? His
Great-grandmother.
great-grandmother went to school here. This used to be a schoolhouse.
Is it?
Yep.
Hi. Hi. How
are you?
Thanks.
Go ahead. You better look at me. You go first. Now, you go. You go who?
Oh, here, look. Columbus City School, built 1856.
Yeah.
$2,985.
Well, high school, high school.
Shoot, I wish we brought paper and rubbing stuff.
Well, Jared could take pictures of this.
I'm about to.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it became different things. Oh, no, these are different buildings.
Yeah.
Iowa's first concrete pavement.
Yeah. Built by the prison labor from Fort Madison. Yeah, that's. Yes,
Now, does the junction mean railroad junction?
Railroad Junction, the main north-south line of the Rock Island from the Twin Cities to St. Louis.
Okay.
And the main line from Chicago to Kansas City of the Rock Island. Had a junction here in Columbus Junction.
And as we know, the Rock Island Line is a mighty good road. It's the road to ride.
That's what the song says.
Well, that's what the song says.
It must be great to have a library with a sense of history.
It is.
Mental journey to renew old memories. I've got my bag, got my reservation, spent each dime I could afford. I'm like a child in wild anticipation.
Swing bridge.
Gonna make a sentimental journey to renew old memories. I got my bag, I got my reservation.
There's some stories we missed back at that other cemetery. We'll think about
When
it.
I was a little kid, it was during the Depression, and for entertainment on a Sunday, Mom would fix a picnic lunch, and we would come here, park our car, and they'd go down in the timber and go nutting in the fall.
Nutting?
Nutting. Dad loved to gather nuts.
Oh.
Walnuts and hickory nuts.
Mhm.
And we always park in this little lot here. And then while we were down there nutting in the afternoon, we'd have a picnic lunch.
Oh. And this church was operational.
It wasn't operational then.
It wasn't?
No,
Oh, wow.
this is a historical church.
Yeah.
You be careful what you're doing in there now.
I'm gonna take a sentimental journey. Gonna set my heart at ease. Gonna make a sentimental journey to renew old memories. Sentimental journey to renew old memories. I've got my bag, got my reservation, spent each dime I could afford. I'm like a child in wild anticipation.
Arapahoe Park. It's in Burlington, Iowa, which is actually a very handsome old river town on the Mississippi in southern Iowa.
When I was a kid, there was a big white frame bandstand in the shape of a big gazebo
Sure.
on this site. And they had city band concert every Sunday, and often we'd be here for a picnic on Sunday afternoon and stay for the band concert.
Now, in one corner of this affair is that we have a couple of large cannons on guard here. One wonders why. What are we being guarded from? You know, those bushwhackers from Illinois. I mean, I don't know, but there they are. Who would have thunk it? And there's your answer, of course.
Come down here and hunt ducks, and then as the day progressed, we go up on the bluff and hunt squirrel.
Ducks in the morning, squirrels in the afternoon.
There was one cabin down here. It wasn't a house, it wasn't a cottage, it was a cabin owned by a family in Wapello, Ed Hicklin. Ed was a lawyer, and his brother-in-law, Winters, owned the cabin, and they might come down here 3 or 4 times a year just for the night with their booze,
Right.
bootleg booze, and have a party.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But but you can see what human beings have done to a beautiful area. Marho's farm is over here. This would be 10 o'clock after the movie at night,
Okay,
or after the skating rink closed on a summer night.
I see.
And 3 or 4 carloads of us would come out, and we'd turn our lights off down the road so the Marho's family wouldn't know we were here.
Oh, okay.
And they had a gate here into this pasture. And there was a sand point out there in this little part of the Marho's Lake. And we'd either park our cars here or drive out to that pasture with our lights off
I see.
and go skinny dipping.
Uh-huh.
Boys and girls together.
Boys and girls together? Imagine that.
Shame of it all.
Do you remember the names any of any of the damsels you brought down here to cavort with in those halcyon days?
Yes. It was a niece of the family that owns a farm.
Oh, I see. Their niece, I see.
We turned off the lights.
I would think so. Out here shaking her tatas at you in the altogether, my goodness.
Anna Lee Meyerholt.
It's up here.
What a bunch of characters. I'd bring my gravel barns out here to go fishing too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I don't know what sand you're talking about.
Well, I don't either. But 70 years can make a lot of changes.
Oh, yeah.
Mental journey to renew old memories. I've got my bag, got my reservation, spent each dime.
CC's place obviously used to be the movie theater. The Moon Picture Place.
They have a balcony.
It had a balcony,
Uh-huh.
and that's where guys used to take our girlfriends to the movies, in the balcony.
Why, certainly.
Yeah. And then they'd go skinny dipping.
You're right. That building has birthright on it in the front window.
Yes.
That was the Calderon building. Mr. and Mrs. Calderon had a Sicilian restaurant there. And they had a daughter that went through school with me. They had another daughter that was younger by 5 or 6 years. And she died. They lived upstairs in the bay windows and ran the restaurant house. They were the only minority family living in Wapello at the time, except for a little black guy by the name of Smokey.
That looks like an old-fashioned barbershop, by golly.
You can see right where he would stand all the time. Wore the floor off.
There's the old commercial bank building. And that's where I've had my first job in the bank, was over there. After it went busted, they hired me to clean out the bank vault.
Did it go broke during the Depression?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every bank in town. The post office was In that building, it has Maytag in the sign.
Uh-huh.
That was the post office. And I was the janitor for the lobby of the post office. The civil service exam. Well, he had no trouble passing the civil service exam. But
when
he was a Republican. And FDR got rid of all the Republican postmasters and hired his own men. And about that time, after the Depression, this bank reopened under a new charter, and that's where Dad worked until the bank in Sigourney wanted to open a new office in Keswick. And that's when they moved to Keswick.
how Dorothy Calvert is...
Margaret's maiden name was Raymond.
Okay.
And her brother was Dorothy Calvert's father.
I see.
And shortly after shortly after Russell was born, that's Dorothy's younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
He disappeared, and nobody knows where he went.
Mm-hmm.
So how did they take her in?
Mother felt an obligation.
Because they were
because
related.
She was working in the city jail, in the county jail in Wapello, because nobody wanted her.
Oh.
And Grace Oakes' husband was the county sheriff.
Okay.
And Mom and Dad decided that that wasn't right, that some member of the family
Sure.
should take a hold of her and make sure she got an education.
Good. It's good. So when was that? What year was that?
Oh, I think she graduated from high school in 1932, so it'd be about 4 years before that. About 1928, 29.
So you lived together?
No, she lived with us. We didn't live together. She lived with us. No,
Now I can see why my mother gets so mad at you. You're a smarty pants.